Alright guys, welcome to another Django tutorial. In this one we are going to cover the functionality of adding to friends. So if you are writing or planning to write a social application, this one might be helpful to you. So I'm planning to split this particular tutorial into two parts. The first part, so this video, will cover adding models. So we will need a profile model and a relationship model. Then we'll need to attach some signals so they can communicate with each other. And at the end of this video, we will have a working solution through the admin level. So if we log into the admin and create a relationship object between two profiles, and we will set the status to accepted, those two particular profiles will have their friends list extended. Okay, so this is what we will do in the first video, and then in the second video we will bring this logic and apply additional logic so we can do it without the need of the admin. So everything will be done automatically through our site. So let me show you what I have done so far. I set up a basic Django project where I created one additional application called Profiles. The project itself is named Invites, and I added, of course, profiles in the settings PY to the installed apps. Okay, so here it is. And also inside the profiles, I added a templates folder, and inside the templates folder I added another one called profiles. So this is the place where we will keep our templates for this particular application. Going down, I also added a directory for looking at templates in the main SRC folder. Okay, it was also named invites. I renamed it to SRC, and the templates folder is over here. And inside the templates folder, I created a base HTML. Base HTML is a simple boilerplate. I got it from my blog, Pyplane.com. I found the article on Django and Chart.js, and I just copied this code, deleted the Chart.js part, and later on we will be able to use the semantic UI CSS styling. And I also added a title and then blog title and blog content. So in these blocks we will define some unique content for the templates which will inherit from this base HTML. Alright, so let's jump directly into our profiles application and let's begin by creating the models. So over here I'm going to create a class which I will call profile, and this will inherit from models.model, and then the first field that we will need to define is the user, and this will be a models 1-to-1 field, and this will be a 1-to-1 field to the user. So we need to import the user model. And why is it 1-to-1 field? It's because one user can have only one profile. This is the logic behind it. Okay, so let's actually import the user model. So from Django contrib auth models import user. Okay, so let's grab this user, put it inside, and let's specify on delete, and this will be models cascade. So whenever a user is deleted, the profile will be deleted as well. Okay, so we have the first field defined. So let's add another one, maybe some bio, and this will be just models and text field. And then we will need a very important field for our project that will be friends, and this will be models many to many field. So let's pass in a user, and this way we will have with this field a functionality of a friends list. And then we need to add a related name. I'm just going to call it the same as the field, so it's going to be friends. And also let's set blank is equal to true. Okay, we'll need this because we will do some operations in the admin, and if it's not blank is equal to true, that means that this field can't be empty, and that means that we need to have some friends already. So the profile will get created. We want to modify it in the Django admin, and we aren't allowed to have an empty list of friends. So this is why we are setting blank is equal to true. Then we will have updated, and this will be models date time field with auto now is equal to true. So this value will change every time the profile is updated. And then we will have created, so we will store only the value over here of the creation of the profile. Okay, so date time field, very similar to the one above, but instead of auto now, we need to write down auto now add is equal to true. Okay, so I think this is enough for the profile model. Let's write a string representation, and let's return str self user. Okay, perfect. So we have our first model ready. Let's save it. Let's go to the admin. Let's register it so we can actually see it in the admin. So we need to write down from dot models, and we want to import our profile. And then below we need to register it. Admin site register, and then we need to pass in the profile model. We can save it now, and let's go to the terminal. Python manage py make migrations. All right, and Python manage py migrate. Okay, Python manage py run server, and let's head over to this particular path over here. I'm going to copy it and paste it over here. So this will be a confirmation that the Django has been successfully set up, and if we add /admin, we are going to log into the admin. Okay, so here are our profiles. And I already created a super user. So here I am. But we would like to add a functionality right now that whenever a new user is created, the profile will be created automatically. So this is the first signal that we need to set up. And I'm just going to create a profile very quickly for my user. So as you can see, friends is optional. And right now I'm going to save it. And I successfully created the profile. But if we wouldn't add blank is equal to true, I would have to select myself in order to save this profile, in order to create this profile. Okay, so now what we want to do is to create a signal that whenever a user is created, the profile model will get informed and will create a profile based on that user that is created. Okay, so let's jump back into Visual Studio Code. Let's create another file inside the profiles application folder, and let's call it signals. So over here, let's do a few imports. We will use a post save signal, and we can import it from django.models.signals post save. Okay, and then the second thing that we want is our user model. So from Django contrib auth models import user. Then we will need the receiver decorator. So from Django dispatch import receiver. And finally, we will need our profile model. So from .models import profile. Okay, and right now we can create this decorator and put in the type of signal, and the sender will be the user. Okay, so the user is going to inform the profile, hey, I have been created, create a profile. And in order to do that, we need to write down some function for this to take place. So we can write down post save create profile, and this will take in a sender instance and create it, as well as keyword arguments. And then this created returns true or false. This is a Boolean value, so we can ask if created. Then we are going to create the profile model. So profile objects create, and then we want to set the user as the instance of the user. Okay, so this is the instance of the user, and this is the model of the user. And if it's created, if this returns true, so if the user is created, then we are going to create also a profile. This will happen only one time. Okay, so this is it for the post save create. Now what we need to do is to add some configurations. So let's head over to the apps and let's write ready self, and then we need to import profiles signals. So this is some configuration that needs to be done in order for the signals to work properly. So let me just copy this. We'll need this name in the init.py file, and over here default app config will be profiles apps, and then we need to indicate this profiles config from our apps.py file. Okay, so now we can save it, and yeah, let's test this out. So what am I going to do over here is to actually create a user, and this user will be named test user, and we will see if the signals are working. Okay, so let's save it. Let's return to home. Let's go to the profiles, and there it is. Okay, so we have our test user with no bio, and now look, bio is bolded. Okay, so if I press save, this field is required, so I can't modify it through the admin just by, for example, clicking that I want to add myself to the friends. It just won't work. I need to put something in the bio. But in case of the bio, I think this is all right. I just wanted to show you the difference between blank true and blank is equal to false. I don't want to modify this profile. Okay, so what we want to do now is to actually create another model, and we will call it relationship, and it will also take place inside the models.py file inside of our profiles application. So over here I'm going to create a class called relationship, and this will also inherit from models.model. And what are going to be the fields over here? Well, we need to know who sent the invitation and who received the invitation. Okay, so we can write down sender is equal to models and then foreign key and this will be a foreign key to the profile. On delete will be again models cascade. Okay, and we will add a related name as sender, so it will match the name of the field. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and paste it below. Over here I'm going to put in receiver, and this will be also models foreign key to the profile, but the related name will be receiver. Okay, and now what we will need is to add a status. So this will be models, and this will be an ordinary char field with the max length of 8 and some choices that we will define as status choices. And yeah, I think this is it for the status field. So we will need to define those status choices, and we will do it in just a few seconds. But then we will also want to keep track of updated and created. So we would like to know when the relationship model or relationship object coming from this model has been modified and when has it created. So for example, if we add those status choices, it will be easier to explain. So I'm going to define them at the top. I'm going to open up a tuple, and inside the tuple we will create another one. The first status will be sent, and the second one will be accepted. So first let's do the send, and then let's do the accepted. So the name on the left is the name for the database, and the name on the right is the human readable name that we can, for example, see in the admin. So I'm going to write down accepted. So again, name for processing, for some database stuff, the name for us to read. Okay, and we have our status choices. So now we can actually keep the track with the use of those two fields. So we can know when the relationship has been sent, for example, and with the updated field, because when it's sent, it's actually created. This is something that we will apply, such functionality. And when it's accepted, we will store it in the updated field. We won't add any other statuses, we'll just need those two. Okay, so one thing that is missing is our dunder method for the string representation. And this will be what we will return over here. Let's just return self sender, so we will know who has sent the invitation, self receiver, and then self status. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this, and we will need to have some additional logic over here, because once the relationship model is created, we want to increase the list of friends for the sender and the receiver if the status is accepted. So we will need to create another signal inside of our signals PY. But before we do that, let's add some methods to our profile class so we can actually get the number of friends and the friends themselves. Okay, so if we go over here, we can write down a method called, for example, get friends, and this takes in self, and then we can return self friends all. Okay, so now we are getting all the friends, and we will be able to loop through them in the template. And the second thing is to get the number of friends. So we can write get friends, and then let's write no as it is for a number. So here we are getting the friend's number, and we can return self friends all, and then we need to count how many friends do we actually have. Okay, so now we can actually create a view for our profile to see those informations in the browser. So let's head over to the views, and over here let's create a functional view, a very simple one. We will call it my profile, that takes in a request, and we will define profile and we will set it to our profile. But before we do that, we need to have the profile model, which I haven't saved. So let me do it really quickly. I haven't saved this file after applying those changes over here. And let me just import it very quickly from .models import profile. So now we can write down profile is equal to profile objects get, and we want to get it by the user. That will be equal to the request.user. And the next thing is that we want to pass this profile into the template. So I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to create a context variable, and I'm going to write down profile. So this is the part that we will be using in the template in just a second. And I'm going to assign to this name, to this key, a value of profile. Okay, so this is just for simplicity. If I wrote down object, I would have to use the object in my templates, not the profile. But I'm going to write down profile. Okay, so let's move on. Finally, we need to return render. The first parameter that we need to pass is the request. Then we need to indicate where we want to, where do we keep the template that we will use for this view. And we don't have any templates yet, but we need to indicate the path to the profiles. And we will just create the template my profile HTML. We will do it in just a second. And then we need to pass in this context variable, so we will actually be able to use the profile in our template that we are going to create right now. So let's create this my profile HTML. Let's just not forget to save the views. And over here, we want to inherit from base HTML. And let's set the block title to my profile. And the block content, for now, we can write it down simply profile. Okay? So let's save it. Let's create another file for the URLs. So we will be actually able to go to the browser, write down a particular URL that will show us this particular view with the template. So in order to do that, we need to create a URLs.py file. Okay, and over here we need to import path from Django URLs import path. We need our view, so from .views import, and the view was my profile, and then we need to define the URL patterns with the first path that we will set to my profile, and then we are going to pass the view, which is my profile over here, and then we will set the name as my profile view. Okay, so I'm going to save it, and now we need to link those URLs to the main project folder. And we need to open the URLs py over here, and then over here let's define another path. I'm going to write down profiles, and we need to include, so we need to actually import include in order to do this. And what we want to include? We want to include the URL patterns that we defined in our profiles application. So we need to go to the profiles. Okay, so we are in the profiles, and we want to indicate the URLs over here. So profiles.urls, and this is enough to link those two. So now we have our main URL, which is this one. Okay, there's no page, and that's okay. And then we indicated profiles, but this won't give us any result as well. And we linked profiles with the URL patterns from the profiles application folder. So let's find those URLs. And here we have a path of my profile. And now I'm going to grab the my profile. Okay. And now we see the result. Okay. So let's go back and let's go to the my profile HTML and work a little bit more on this object over here. But maybe before, we can add a h1 tag, and inside we are going to write down profile of, and over here we are going to write down, we have for example, we can write down profile.user. Okay, so let's save it. I missed an R. Let's save it and let's refresh. So we have profile of the user, or we can also write down request.user. Okay, if we save it, we'll have it over here, and we see that the name over here matches the name over here, because this is all because of the string representation method. So if we head over to the models, and we will change the string representation method to, for example, like this, str hello world, we will see, as you can see now, my name plus hello world. So more properly it would be like this. But anyway, you get the idea. You probably know this already, so let's focus on the important stuff. Okay, so let's get the friends and the friends number. In my profile, we have this profile, which we will loop through it. So for, and then we want to loop through as a friend. We are searching for friend in profile, get friends, and then we want to display this particular friend. So as you can see, I'm not putting that much attention to the styling. I rather focus on the Django part, since this is a Django tutorial. So we are getting the friends. We don't have any yet, but this will change in just a second. Let me just indent this a little bit so it's more readable. Okay, and the second thing is the friends number. For friends quantity, I'm going to put in friends number, and this will be profile get friends no. Let's save it, let's refresh, and here we have friends number 0, and we don't see any friends because we don't have any friends. So let's actually change this, and we will need, of course, we could do everything manually. I mean, we could go to the admin. Okay, so we could go to the admin. we could we didn't register the relationship model and didn't do the migrations. We will do it in a second, but we could go to our profile and we could add test user to the friends. So now if I refresh, as you can see, I have friends number 1, but the test user doesn't have me as a friend. So this is obviously something wrong, and we want to make it to work automatically. Okay, so we will do it in just a second. Let me just get rid of this. And the first thing, let's do the migrations. So Python manage py make migrations, and Python manage py migrate, and Python manage py run server. But then let's not forget to register this particular model. So from admin, in the admin, we need to register one more model that we defined as relationship. So now we can bring it in over here and we can save it, and let's go to the home. We have the relationships. So now we can actually create a relationship between me and the test user, and we can have two statuses, sent and accepted. So the idea is that whenever the status is accepted, we want to increase our friends list. So the test user will be added to my friends, and I will be added to the test user friend list. Okay, and in order to do that, we are going to use signals again. So let's jump into signals, and we are going to import relationship, because right now this relationship model will be the sender. Okay, so again, let's write receiver, and then again we will use the post save, but the sender will be the relationship, and let's define this as post save add to friends. Let's pass in sender created instance, and keyword args, and then we can write sender is equal to the instance sender. And if we go to models py, over here we have our relationship model. So again, the signal defined over here has the sender relationship, and this is the sender model, but we also have an instance of this relationship model, and we can use it. So over here, to this variable, we are storing instance sender. So what is it precisely? If we open up again models py, we have a foreign key to the profile over here, and we are basically accessing the profile. The same will be done with the receiver. Okay, so let's do it with the receiver. Let's do it in the same way, receiver, and then instance receiver. Okay, so we have the sender and the receiver. We would like to also do something with the field status. Okay, so over here below we can ask if instance status is equal to accepted, and only then, if it's accepted, we want to grab the sender and we want to grab the field's friends, because over here we are accessing the profile. In the profile, we have a friends field which accepts a user. Okay, so this is a relation with the user model. So in the signals, we can write down add, and what do we want to add? Receiver. But we can't add a receiver because this is a profile right now. We need to add the user. Okay, And very similar we need to do for the receiver. So the person who accepts the invitation also needs to have his or hers list extended. And over here we can write friends, add, and then not receiver, but sender dot user. Okay? So the final thing is to write down sender, save, and receiver, save. Okay? So for example, if I send an invitation to you and you accept it, I will add you to a friend and you will add me to your friends list. And then we are going to save it. And finally, we can try this out. So just be sure to save signals py. And yeah, let's press refresh and let's try this out. So I'm going to grab myself. I'm going to select as the receiver the test user, and I'm going to set this as accepted. I'm going to press save. And then let's head over to the relationships, and there it is. This is what we created in just a second ago, but what I wanted to do is to head over to the profiles, and as you can see, add the test user, I'm a friend on his list. And if we go back and open up my user, the test user is a friend on my list, okay? So the final thing will be to test this out in the browser at our defined path. So what I'm going to do is to actually get rid of this. I'm going to put something in the bio, going to save it, and I'm going to do the same for my user. I'm going to remove from friends, and then I'm going to delete this relationship. So let's write delete, and over here let's refresh, friends number 0, and now let's add a relationship. So again, my user, test user, and the status send, save. Let's refresh. Nothing happened, so let's access this relationship object, change to accepted. Let's save again. Now let's refresh. Everything is working. So if we add another user, and let's add it as a test user 2, let's save it. Let's go to relationships. Let's add a relationship between me and the test user and accept it. Let's save, refresh. Here it is, okay? Test user 2, friends number 2. Alright guys, so thank you very much for this video. We are going to continue in the next one. We are going to make this work in a better way, so we can actually access a profile of a particular user that we want to invite, and then we are going to invite him on a button click, okay? And then we will also have a view where we will see all the invitations that other users sent to us, which we can simply accept or reject or ignore. So this is something that will be covered in the next video. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel. And yeah, thank you for going through this video, and hopefully we will see each other soon. Take care and bye-bye.